So there's this new information coming out about the ICE enforcement agents being able to enter homes without a judge's warrant. That is a memo that some type of whistleblower or insider is indicating is the case. Um, so we want to go ahead and take a look at some of the information in this article to find out, I obviously know the Constitution wasn't amended, so let's just kind of see what is happening here. Um, it says immigration officers are now claiming extensive authority to forcibly enter private residences without a judge's warrant. And this is according to an internal immigration and custom enforcement memo. Okay. So it's saying the directive permits ICE agents to use force. So that means they're gonna use those huge battering rams or whatever they call it. Maybe even pull a door off the chains if you think you got a extra gate in front of your door. They're gonna use whatever force it take to get into that residence to arrest individuals that have a final order of removal. So these are individuals that have another judge, probably immigration judge, has said they have an order to be removed, and I guess they haven't left. So at least that's what they're indicating the memo was about. They're saying that this is in conflict with the Fourth Amendment protections and that it overturns years of advice given to immigrant communities regarding their rights. So immigrant communities have rights. Is this illegal immigrant communities' rights, or is this like legal immigrant communities' rights? Which community? Because there's two different communities: immigrants that immigrated legally, or is this immigrants that waltzed in illegally? Let's just take a look here. They're saying the policy shift coincides with the Trump's administration dramatic expansion of immigrant arrests around the country. Reading this article is really starting to bother me. Is ICE arresting just random immigrants, like legal immigrants? I don't think so. I think they're arresting illegal immigrants. I mean, it said it had an order of deportation, a final order of removal. So I don't think that would be somebody who's in appropriate legal standing, because you have a final order of removal from a different judge, an immigration judge. Then why are they just putting all the immigrants into one category under this? It's maybe a liberal wrote this article. For years, immigrant advocates, legal aid groups, and local governments have advised individuals not to open their doors to immigration agents unless presented with a judge-signed warrant. This advice is grounded in Supreme Court rulings that generally prohibit law enforcement from entering a home without judicial approval. The new ICE directive directly undermines the council at a time when arrests are accelerating on the administration's immigration crack. Again, I'm seeing this immigration crackdown. Is this illegal immigration crackdown? Or is this just immigrants that have done everything they were supposed to do, have all their paperwork in order? They're permanent. They have permanent status, not only temporary status. This article just keeps putting all immigrants in the same category. And I know I've seen legal immigrants say that they don't want to be put in the same category with illegal immigrants. Actually, they said a lot of people that were naturalized and immigrated, quote unquote, the right way, voted for illegal immigrants to be deported. So I'm not understanding why this article is kind of undermining that and continues to just put all immigrants into one category as if all immigrants are illegal and if all immigrants have final orders of removal, which obviously can't be true.
Right, it's pretty insulting to the ones that went through the whole process and dealt with the papers to be there legally without any issues.
Spent the money, went through the process, went through all the procedures, learned the language of the country, showed up to hearings and things they had to do. I don't know why they're just putting the word immigrant on top of it and leaving it like that. That doesn't seem quite fair. They're saying new ICE hires and those still in training are being told to follow the memo's guidance instead of written training materials. which actually contradict the memo. So they're saying the standard training materials do not tell them that they have the right to enter homes without judge warrant, but this memo does. They're saying that it's unclear how broadly the directive is being applied to immigration enforcement operations. Um, so this article already ticked me off quite a bit. Um,
This has me thinking, how long could this memo play in effect for since it's against the constitutional right?
well, they're saying it's in conflict with the Constitution, but if you have a final order of removal, I mean, is that one and the same? Like you've already been ordered to remove, so they're doing that activity to remove you. Is it the same as a person who doesn't have any type of warrant or order? Let us know what you think. Um, in this matter, I've seen people in public places say that ICE couldn't apprehend somebody because they didn't have a warrant and it was demanding to see a warrant. So but I don't think that they should be lumping just every single immigrant into one category. I don't think that that's fair. It seems like any person that says, "Well, I immigrated here," people be looking at them sideways, like, "Oh, are you a legal immigrant? Are you an illegal immigrant?" Like, I just think that they could have written that a little bit more particularly because ICE is not just throwing out. Their directive is not to just throw out any person that wasn't born here. The directive is to get rid of um, unauthorized
Yeah,
aliens.
basically those who weren't verified by the
So
government to be here where it's safe for everybody else.
it's my understanding is that um and I know some people say, well, planet Earth, nobody's illegal, blah blah blah. Well, tell me the place where people can just get up and go, leave their place that they were born. Tell me the country that just allows you just to walk in with no paperwork, no nothing, um, no validation, no identification, no anything, and you can just go live in that country and get every benefit of that country that citizens are not even getting. I would like you to leave it in the comments what countries are doing that for informational purposes because um, I don't know of any, but I don't know everything. So let us know what countries that you can just waltz in. You don't have to show any. You can just climb a gate, swim over, and just live your best life. Please let us know in the comments. Thank you. Um, let's go here. Okay. Memo shown to select officials. The memo says ICE officers can forcibly enter homes and arrest immigrants using just a signed administrative warrant, known as the I-205, if they have a final order of removal issued by an immigration judge. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. They have a final order of removal by immigration judge. So they're not arresting just a random quote unquote immigrant. They're arresting ones that had an order of removal. So there's a lot of word salad going on in this article. So I'm done reading it. Let's go check out some of these TikToks because again, whoever wrote this article, yeah, moving on. Let's see what Homegirl has to say.
News outlets are reporting that an internal memo has been leaked from ICE by whistleblowers that says ICE is now being given guidance that they can go into people's houses without a warrant. Not only does that violate Department of Homeland Security protocol, it violates the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. They absolutely cannot come into your home without a warrant signed by a judge. They are trying to pass off these administrative warrants, which are just kind of forms that they fill out and some ICE agent signs and say that's a warrant. It is not. A warrant has to be signed by a judge to be valid to give them entry.
Hold on. The article said that immigration judge signs the paperwork. So is she saying like the immigration judges are not judges and that the ICE people actually signed this paperwork and no judge has even looked at it? Is that what she's indicating here?
Well, the article did have some, as you say, word salad. So who knows who could be right, if it's the immigration judge who does it or if it's ICE themselves. All of this is pretty
I
new.
don't think ICE can sign their own warrants. I think an immigration judge would have to sign it. But let's continue.
into your home. So if ICE appears at your door, first of all, you don't have to talk to them. There's no requirement that you go and answer the door or talk to them. If you do go to the door, don't open the door. Ask them to slide the warrant under the door and look at it. If it is not a warrant signed by a judge, then they do not have constitutional permission to enter your home. Man, we're going to be busy with Nuremberg style trials, aren't we?
So my concern, whether it's administrative judge, immigration judge, or some other judge that she's referring to. Now she's saying ICE is the one that's signing the paperwork. So basically, the person doesn't have an order of removal. First of all, how could ICE sign it if the person has a final order of removal? A judge had to be involved somewhere along the way if there was an order made. And last I checked, ICE is not the one making the orders. Nevertheless, this does seem like a pretty dangerous policy just because it will be dangerous for the people in the home. It will also be dangerous for the agents because anybody could dress up and cover their faces and say ICE.
Exactly.
And just like we've seen in some other cases where you have false identities with people breaking into homes or claiming that they're delivery people, anybody could dress up and be in full mask, and no one even knows what ICE looks like, their badge looks like, what it's supposed to say, because it's a lot of mystique and mysterious, and a lot of intentional hiding of the identities of ICE because they're supposed to be under all of this, people wanting to do harm to them or so on and so forth. So I just think overall it's dangerous, even if they have an actual warrant. Just going to someone's home, period, especially by force, is dangerous. We've seen it with warrants that are signed by a judge, where the cops and enforcement go into the home and they've gone into the wrong home. They've unalived innocent people. Innocent people have bust back at officers because they don't know who's coming crashing through their door. So I just think it sets up a scenario just for uh, more violence to possibly occur when somebody's coming crashing into a door, whether it's illegitimate or illegitimate. My opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also adding this question in my head, what would happen to the people who are defending their home and clapping back? Because this is a memo that's granting ICE the permission to go into the home, but then again, it's also contradicting with the Fourth Amendment that people can't just go into your home and um just create all this chaos without any explanation and they don't know what's going on.
I just think people can lock doors, but they can't stay in their homes forever. I just think that going into people's homes is that's always been a dangerous thing for all parties involved. They could have children in the home, they could have disabled people in the home. And then because tensions are high and everybody is in this mindset of they don't have the right to do this and they don't have the right to do that, these agents are tired of dealing with all the combative spectators and even the combative illegal aliens that refuse to leave. Um, Trump did make the app or reactivate the app where they was paying them money to go back home, come back the right way. A lot of people have self-deported, not enough of self-deporting, and I think it's the fact that for so many years there was no real enforcement being done with the last administration. We would see caravans of uh, illegal aliens pouring into the country, and no one knows who these people are at the end of the day. We've seen countless stories where citizens are no longer here because of an illegal alien, migrant, whatever you want to dress up the name to be. No one talks about that. I don't see all these videos talking about the ones that are unfortunately taking actions as if they're back in their home countries in harming American citizens, or the ones that have been collecting benefits, whereas another homeless American wasn't able to get benefits. My thing is, how is the deception of not taking on accountability of being somewhere that you're not allowed to be legally and not following the proper. If I was a legal immigrant, quote unquote, and I spent my money, my time, and I had to follow all these instructions and cross all my T's, and then someone else just walked over, didn't spend a dime, and just got a gazillion things. I'm like, well, why should I have to have respect for this process? Nobody, these millions and millions and millions of people didn't. So I just think it creates like a two-tier system where one is fair and one is definitely unfair because um, I don't know of any place, but again, put in the comments where people can waltz all over and live their best life with no paperwork, no nothing. They can lie about their ages. They can be in the high schools when they're adults. They cannot get any of the things that they need health wise and be mingling with your children. They can get their rent paid for a long period of time, but you have Americans struggling to pay this $3,000 rent and $3,000 mortgage. That's the deal. Just let us know in the comments. Thank you. Let's see what the next person's talking about. Oh, let's see what he has to say. You've seen him before.
Memo that's authorizing agents to break into homes without a judicial warrant. And obviously, that's going to end up in chaos. Like, obviously, that's what it's going to be. And I just feel like the government fully knows this. They're fully aware that if they allow ICE agents to go and just break into people's houses without a judicial warrant or without any reasoning to be breaking into people's houses, that ICE is probably going to be retaliated against. Like, the government is already fully aware of this. Like, they're just using the ICE agents as their pawns because at some point the people are going to have enough of all of this bullshit that's going on and they're going to retaliate against these ICE agents. Like, I just don't.
I do agree that it's just a dangerous situation. People are already doing stuff to the agents even before this came out about this memo, right? They're assaulting them, they're ramming them with vehicles, they're creating dangerous situation when they're performing apprehension. So people are already doing stuff. So I can only imagine, um, you know, them going into a home and being encircled by angry mob of protesters. It can get ugly really quick. Maybe they're just ushering us into new world.
I guess.
I'll just say new world. I'll just say new world. Just those first two. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, I guess that's why ICE has the permission to bust into the homes like they were just granted permission to do as a way to catch the people off guard and they can't fight back like they have been doing with the ICE
Last
agents.
possibility. Yeah. It looks like they're doing anything possible to get people that quote unquote are not supposed to be here out. And I just think that people are not accepting that this is a new administration and all the people that are not supposed to be where they're not supposed to be, they're telling you go back where you came from or go back wherever you maybe somewhere else. But you can't stay here in the improper standing. It's just, we've seen crazy times as a nation. Of course, we've seen people treated way worse than these apprehensions. I mean, this is a nation that had slavery for the longest period. And so, where was all these folks that busting onto the plantations to free the blacks that was getting whipped and we was all the heroes then. And don't tell me about there was some people helping. Yeah, there was some. But all this that we're seeing now, all this impediment and all this whistle blowing and everybody surrounding people and where was that back in the day when other folks that was here was being forced here to do stuff? I'm just saying, why did the energy change? But go ahead.
See there being a scenario in which everyone just allows these ICE agents to break down their doors without any judicial warrant or any type of warrant to say that they're supposed to be there. And then they're breaking people's doors down. And then there's just not going to be any retaliation? No. And I feel like the government knows that there is going to be retaliation because I feel like that's part of their goal. Because once there's retaliation, then they can say that the people are crazy and that we need more control. And then there goes martial law.
Well, he has a point
There
there.
goes the Insurrection Act. You know what I mean? Like, that's when they start implementing
So
all
the
of these.
solution is for that is for what? So if people are going to retaliate and people feel like, oh, well, we're going to stop them from doing this, why don't they all just go ahead and make other arrangements to be somewhere else? Everybody knew what he was going to do when he got in office. He said what he was going to do. So everybody was on notice before he was sworn in as the president. He said what he was going to crack down on. He said what he was going to do. Did everybody think he was lying about that part? Even all the other stuff he said he didn't do, like lower prices of food and all this other stuff. This is the one thing that he said he was going to do, which many, many people voted for him to do exactly this, including legal immigrants. And I say legal, not illegal. Legal immigrants voted for him to do this. So one would say, did they not all have a heads up that if you're not here in the right standing, that you should be leaving? I mean, let's, if we're going to play devil's advocate, this is not a secret of what he said he was going to crack down on, and he's keeping his word on that, and he's keeping his word on a lot of other things, and his word has not shown to fruition on some other things. But this is one of the things that they're keeping their word on. So I think people need to accept that. I don't think people are accepting that illegal immigration is not going to be tolerated under this administration. Now, if you get another Dem back in there, then they might undo everything. They might reopen up everything. They might do all the stuff, and then that'll be that administration. But hey, every administration is run differently. Let's go and see what the next person's talking about.
Door to door, the difference between staying free and being detained can come down to one piece of paper. Right now, ICE is going door to door in communities across the country. Yes, they're legally allowed to knock, and yes, they can ask questions. But here's the part they want you to panic through. You are not legally required to open the door. You are not legally required to answer questions. Under the 4th and 5th Amendments, you have the right to remain silent and the right to be protected from illegal searches and seizures. Now listen closely, as this is the most important part. If ICE shows you a warrant, look at it carefully. An administrative warrant is issued by ICE itself, not a judge, and does not give them the legal authority to enter your home without your consent. They may pressure you, they may lie, they may hope you don't know the difference. Without a judicial warrant signed by a judge, they cannot force entry. A judicial warrant is different. If they have one, they can legally enter often without asking first. ICE relies on confusion, and silence is not resistance, it's a constitutional right.
So he's saying that the administrative warrants are signed by ICE, but the final order of removal is signed by immigration judge. So it's still, if the person that they're seeking to remove already has a final order of removal that is signed by a judge, I guess they're just following up saying, okay, if this what he is saying is true, we have this administrative warrant based on the fact of having a final order of removal. Like I said, I think this is going to create more violence, more chaos, and like I said, maybe this is just all by design. And if people are not going to start voluntarily leaving at a higher rate, they're going to keep bringing in more and more agents, because there's millions of people that have poured in without the proper process. And there was so many people that walked when they were doing these huge caravans. They walked past several countries, several locations where they could have claimed asylum, or where they could have, found a better life, or made a better life. I mean, as big as the groups of them were, they couldn't. All this resistance that's happening here, couldn't they have formed that same resistance elsewhere and made that their home? But they came here. A lot of them came here because, as we have found out, they were getting all types of benefits that even some citizens weren't getting. So, what do you think? Do you think that people are not going to know the difference, that this is going to create a powder keg of possibility for even more terrible situations to happen with this enforcement going on? Do you think that the people that voted for this are okay with this? Do you think that the legal immigrants that voted for this just want the ones that are not in good standing to go home so that this can be resolved? Do you think this is all by design, just to marshal usher in all those things that the young man was talking about? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and circling back to where you said the people they were warned ahead by Trump and they probably should have left while they could. Maybe it's because they were allowed to be in for so long despite not legally coming here. And when he came and he said what he said, they probably were trying to call his bluff. They're not worried about it. Oh, there's too many of us, they can't get us. But now it's happening, and
just as many of it is as the people that are not supposed to be there, they're hiring and paying all these people to go and get you out of here. So they might not get everybody, but they're trying to get as many as they can. And I think, why live under those circumstances? Either leave and come out the right way, self-deport, make a new life, band together and make a better life in your country. If it's so many of people from so many different places, band together, form a community, go make it better where you came from if you don't want to do things the right way. Because last I checked, anytime you go to another country, you're supposed to have the proper documentation and follow the rules of that country. So anyway, let us know in the comments. I thank you for listening. You all take care.
have a good one.